Hello and welcome to Jeff Stimson's Poker Vlog. Alright, up at Mount Charleston, going to go over some poker hands, but first, a little backstory, right? How did I get started in poker? Well, like most of us, started at a young age. I had to be about 7, 8 years old and playing nickel dime quarter around the kitchen table. Dealer's choice, your 5-card draws, 7-card studs, low ball, 444, follow the queen, baseball, Black Mariah, low Chicago. Of course, later there was new games introduced to the mix by a circle of friends as we get together and play our cash games every month. Threw in some new ones out there that you may or may not have heard of. Herb, Crisscross Crash, Elevator, Good Card, Bad Card. Of course, my personal favorite, Preceding the Jack. You heard that right? Kind of like Follow the Queen, but Preceding the Jack, other way around. Good games. Really didn't get into Hold'em though until much later. Before the poker boom, before the moneymaker effect of 03, I was doing Hold'em. A good buddy of mine called me one night and said, hey, there's this online site, a free tournament, where they're paying winners in cash. So what do you got to lose, right? There was no deposit required. I couldn't even tell you the name of the site. It wasn't, none of the big ones that we've all come to recognize. I said, sure, what's the game? He told me Hold'em. I understand the game. Let's do it. So we signed up for our free tournament, and we cashed, both of us. I think I made like 36 bucks. I was very happy. So people ask, why poker vlog? Well, why not? I enjoy playing cards, and I enjoy talking about the game to others. I don't play big stakes. We're talking small stakes. I play the 1-3 games and the 2-5 games around town. Okay. So for this vlog, right back behind me, hard to see in the brush, but there's a deer walking away. There's 3 of them actually. Kind of got hiked up into an area where they were hanging out, so I stopped. Don't want to spook them. What's the goal of the poker vlog? You know what? Just have some fun. I like to play cards, like to talk about my hands. I love watching the poker vlogs that are out there, so I wanted to put my spin on it. That's why I came to Mount Charleston to talk about my hands. A fitting place to go, and as luck would have it, I'd run into a family of deer in my first-hand history recording, so that'll work. Beauty out here, and this is just part of it. So if you get a chance, get away from the tables, get away from the casinos once in a while, head up northwest, go to Mount Charleston, walk around. You won't be sorry. Okay, so we're going to bring this vlog to you from a few different locations. There was the Wynn, at the Venetian, and at Red Rock casinos. Those are the 3 I chose for this vlog. I'm doing it a little differently. I decided I'm not going to have just one particular day, but wanted to spread it out a little bit. Okay, is it a bad thing that I'm up in the woods and I hear harmonica music in the background? Alright, it's that time. Let's go play some cards. Alright, so I decided to do my poker vlog. And the very first hand that I see, and I kid you not, the very first hand that I record is 2 black aces. I mean, this is awesome. And not to mention, I'm in late position. So, under the gun, he raises to $15. Middle position calls. So I have aces. Of course, you're going to raise. I raise up to 60. There's 30 in the pot. Probably a little over anxious. I mean, after all, I'm excited. I'm shooting my very first hand, and I get aces. Makes for a great big pot, right? And no, they both fold. But that's okay. Okay, the next hand, straddle is on. Folds around to me. I look down at pocket jacks. I make it 21 to go. Straddler is raising his straddle every time, so make it 21. Straddler calls, big blind calls. And we're off to a flop of 7-5-5. Big blind checks. I want to bet here, charging the ace-jack, ace-10, maybe ace-queen, or random straight cards to be able to continue. So go ahead and bet $45. The button makes the call, big blind folds. Now the turn is interesting as it brings another 7 and puts a second spade on board. I think there's merit to checking here, as the button could have easily defended the straddle with a 7-8, 7-9, even a 7-10 suited type of hand. But I think this particular player would have went ahead and raised my post-flop bet, especially with a player to act behind. So I again feel that betting's the best option here, and I put out a bet of $90. He thinks for a minute and decides on a fold, and we go ahead and take that one down. Okay, so we're back here for day 2 of our hand history log up at Mount Charleston. Go over a few more hands and get this vlog out to you. For this hand, I have 5-6 of hearts on the button, and I raised to $13. A limper in middle position makes reference to some hands from earlier.
Mr. Straight flush and sets of aces. Oh, thank you.
Okay, for this next hand, I don't have any footage of, but I'm under the gun, and the straddle is on, and I look down at 7-8 of spades. I go ahead and make the raise to $18. Under the gun, +1 makes the call. The hijack raises to $40. Straddler folds, the blinds both fold back to me. For only $22 more to make the call into a pot that already has $86, it seems like a no-brainer. I'm going to see a flop with my 7-8 of spades. So I make the call, as does under the gun +1. Okay, we're off to a flop of 5-6 jack, and the 5-6s of spades. So now I have an open-ended straight flush draw. I go ahead and make a check. Unfortunately, it checks around, and we go to a turn, which springs, you guessed it, the 9 of spades, completing our straight flush. I check again. Again, it checks all the way through. The river's a 3 of spades, putting 4 spades on board. I decide on a check here to really show just so much weakness that one of these two will make a bet, as they've both been pretty aggressive at the table to this point. Under the gun, +1 doesn't disappoint, and bet $75. The hijack folds. I go ahead and go all in. I only have 119 total. She makes the call. I show her the bad news, and we take that one down. Okay, 2 hands later, middle position player limps. I'm in the small blind. I look down at pocket aces. I go ahead and make a raise to $15. The big blind calls, same player that I just hit the straight flush against, and the middle position player also calls. We'll go off to a flop of ace-4-8, 2 diamonds. I decide I'm going to go ahead and bet out here, as I didn't bet my straight flush, so it'll look like I only have a pair of aces with a decent kicker. So I go ahead and bet out $20. Big blind calls, middle position player folds. Now the turn is a 7 of clubs. I go ahead and put out a bet of $55. Big blind goes all in, music to our ears. We quickly make the call with my remaining stack with approximately 300. River's a offsuit king. We show our trip aces. She mucks her cards, saying that she had outs. So in the span of 3 hands, we have doubled up twice, and we're sitting pretty good. Okay, so that brings us back to our 5-6 of hearts. I'm on the button. There's 1 limper. I go ahead and make the raise to $13. The big blind makes the call, and the limper is the one that makes the quote of Mr. Straight Flushes and Trip Aces and makes the fold. And I appreciate the advertising he gives me, as there are new players at the table at this point in time. The flop comes out Ace, King, 7. No hearts, couldn't be further from help for me. The big blind checks. I go ahead and make a continuation bet. Big blind folds, and we take that down. So again, I appreciate the free advertising. Okay, so our session at the Venetian footage is non-existent. I only had a few hands I was able to try to record. However, I had them cut off, so the cameraman did a terrible job. I got moved, our table broke after about 5 hands, got moved. A very tight table, was unable really to do anything there. So we did play some hands. I did get a Queen 8 of diamonds, kind of, you can see that. But I have no notes on it. It's the very first hand that I played over the Venetian, and we go ahead and get check called all the way down, hit a flush on the river, and we take down the pot. So it's all the footage I have. However, I do have a hand that is interesting that I want to go over. All right, so we can move to the new table. About 3 hands in, under the gun limper. Folds to me. I look down at ace jack of clubs in middle position. I go ahead and make the raise to $16. Folds back over to the original limper, who makes a re-raise to $45. So of course the alarm bells start to go off. I'm thinking, okay, pocket aces, pocket kings here. Strange that you would, limp in under the gun, but I guess he's been at the table longer than I have. He knows how these players play. Maybe there's been a lot of raising going on, so he's looking to take advantage. I'm not sure because I haven't seen anybody play. Nonetheless, I go ahead and make the call. Flop comes out ace 7-5. He bets out $35. I don't think pocket aces would necessarily bet out on such a dry board with a 7-5, because what am I calling with? Unless, of course, I have ace king, ace queen type of hands, but then I'd have to have the case ace in order to do that. So I go ahead and make the call of $35. Figure we see a turn. Turn's a good one. Brings out a jack, so now we have 2 pair, and he checks. So at this point, I'm thinking, well, maybe he does have the pocket kings. I might be good here. But I go ahead and bet out anyway, which if he has the pocket kings, I think the best move here would actually be to check. But I don't. I get a little overzealous. I put out $75, and he quickly makes the call. The river's the 2, puts no help for anybody, and he goes all in. And I make the call, and he turns over pocket aces. So, not a bad beat story. That's a bad play, actually. He limp re-raised. He down bet on the flop. He check called the turn. He did everything but turn over his cards to tell me he had pocket aces, and I just was too wrapped up in my own holdings and played it fairly horribly, in my opinion. So yeah, there you go. So I go ahead and rebuy and play for a little while at the Venetian, and end up not doing anything with that stack, up or down. So we cash out with our second buy in 300, so we're actually down 300 for this trip to the Venetian. So no footage of me going to the cage because there's no profit there. Sometimes it can be fun to have a little luck and play a favorite hand. And when I play my favorite hand, a lot of luck is usually needed, as it's a 5 deuce that I like to play. Suited helps? Probably not. We're at a brand new 1-2 table. Everyone just sat down. We're sitting between $200 and $300 effective around the table. We're probably about 6 hands in, and I'm down to about $250 as a ace-king suited hand didn't go the way I had hoped. Now, one player at the table has been very aggressive, played all 6 hands thus far, and has either raised pre-flop or post-flop every single time. We have a limper over to the button who also limps. This is our aggressive player. Small blind completes. I'm in the big blind. I look down at, you guessed it, 5 deuce. So of course, it's my favorite hand. I go all in. No, I just check my option. Let's see a flop. We're already in for $2. Let's see what happens. The flop comes out 3-4-6. I would say this is a pretty good flop for my 2-5 holdings. Small blind checks. I go ahead and check. The middle position limper checks. And the big blind puts out a bet of $10. Small blind folds. I go ahead and make the call. And the middle position limper also folds. Now the turn brings in 8 of spades, putting 2 spades on board. I decided I want to try to build the pot a little bit, so I think a small bet will probably get this big blind to go ahead and re-raise me. So I put out a bet of $15, and Big Blind does not disappoint, raises me to $60. Comes back to me, I jam it all in, Big Blind quickly calls. The river's a jack, no help. I show my straight, he mucks his cards, muttering under his breath, picks up the remaining chips he has in front of him and leaves the table. So, moral of the story is, don't limp your good hands on the button. There was quite a few good hands over at Red Rock, but they were spread out. It was a longer session, and this was a pretty good session all in all. But the camera was off and on, off and on. Of course, when it was on, no hands really too worth seeing. Turn it off, of course, they get hands. But be it that as it may, there was one hand that came up. So we have a pocket jacks. We're under the gun. We go ahead and make a raise to $15, and we proceed to get called by 3 late position players, which is the hijack, the cutoff, and the button. Not great for pocket jacks. Flop comes out Queen Jack 9. This is a pretty wet flop, and typically at 3 of a kind I should probably check with multi-way going 4 ways to such a wet board, but I decided to go ahead and make a bet. So I bet out, and as the other 2 players are starting to decide whether or not they're going to call, the button's already amassing his chips for the call, $45. And so they go ahead and make a quick fold. He puts his 45 out there, and the turn comes a jack. So we have quad jacks. He still looks so antsy over there, ready to put in some chips. So I go ahead and make a bet, and he goes all in over the top of me for $200. Obviously I make the call. I throw over pocket jacks. He shows pocket queens. So I flop set under set. I think the word of the day is run good. Run good in your pilot vlog. That's what this is going to be called. I think I'm going to call this vlog Run Good. So hopefully I can continue some of that. Yeah, what else can you say? No need to really go any further than that. Quad jacks, vlog number 1. We cash out shortly after that. It was a good day. Thanks for joining me. This has been a blast. Vlog number 1 is in the books. Please hit like and subscribe below, and I hope to have some more videos coming your way. And look them up, leave some comments, and hopefully we'll have some content that you like. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you at the tables.